Alright, what's up y'all, LakerFan here. As you can see by the title of today's video, I'm here to give my final thoughts on the 6'9" glitched out metric build in NBA 2K22 Next Gen. So after the passing lane patch, this build notably got nerfed. With this came a glitchy ability to have 90 steal and Hall of Fame Interceptor on a 6'9" build with a crazy long wingspan, and you were able to play elite defense off and on the ball. We're here in this video to talk about how I feel about this build 8 days after the patch. So I hope y'all enjoy the video. If you do, to drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all the good stuff, and like always, tries 1 to 1,000 likes. Alright, so first and foremost, if you're new to the channel and you don't know how to set up this build and you're looking for that, or you're curious, I've made plenty of different build videos over the last 2 months pertaining to this build right here. So if you want to just check that out, just search LakerFan 6'9" metric build, boom, there you go. Or just search through the channel, whatever the case may be. Anyway, as you can see though, we have the 6'9", 203, 7'7" wingspan. This is for the silver brick wall. This is intended to be kind of a secondary big man where you could play as a lockdown when you want to, and then when you would like to as well, you can also use this as the big man on 3v3. Now, we're talking about 3v3 more so when I talk about the 2 and the 3 spot. When it comes to Pro-Am and Rec, it's more so meant to be played at the 3 and the 4, and the patch hasn't really changed anything to do with that, if you ask me. I think all the patch has really done is make it more viable in Pro-Am and Rec to run maybe 2 bigs at the 4 and the 5, instead of having one of these builds right here at the 4. And maybe you wanted to run one of those glitch 6'7" metric builds that have 6'6" stats. That's a potential thing as well. And again, the only thing this passing lane patch has really done is obviously nerf the passing lanes when it comes to this build. But I will say as well, with the same patch that nerfed the passing lanes, I'm seeing on-ball defense absolutely get buffed. Like, whether you have clamps or not, I'm out here on my 7-footer playing crazy on-ball D. I've seen crazy bumps from smaller guards as well with this build right here. On top of that too, honestly, on-ball defense is looking really elite. And with this build, it's not like it's all live or die by Hall of Fame Interceptor. You still have gold clamps, gold ankle braces, Hall of Fame chase down artist, gold rim protector, Hall of Fame intimidator as well with a 95 block rating. I mean, all of these things are really elite. Again, you still have silver brick wall to maybe function as the kind of big man to an extent. Or again, honestly, if you want to talk about the elite ability of this build, if you run 2 of these, what you can do is you can both be screen setters, pick and poppers and stuff like that, and just target the weaker matchup. Whoever has the weakest matchup on them, come out of the corner and come set the screen. Simple as that. Get the weakest matchup onto your point guard, and then boom, your PG goes crazy on, say, a 7'3" big man who has to guard him in ISO now, or maybe the weakest point guard matchup, like the PG gets a 5'7" PGs to guard him and stuff like that. So anyway, again, this is all kind of just food for thought and just thinking out loud when it comes to this build. But I want to backtrack a little bit. What we did with the early portion of this video is kind of pinpoint specific attributes, like talking about the 77 3-pointer. We also didn't even talk about yet the 92 driving dunk, how this gets elite contact dunk packages. It's a really, really good rating that you can achieve on this build. Again, with the height, it's really good. But we've already done a lot of talking about the individual stats and stuff like that, going through one at a time. I want to talk about just what this build is good at in general, when it comes to what you want it to do. So again, when it comes to Pro-Am, this is more of a 3/4 build. I think it definitely fits in the best at the 4 with most situations. If you want to go with that undersized lineup of what I'm talking about, where maybe you run a 6'6" or a 6'7" at the 3 in Pro-Am, I think this definitely fits in well at the 4. Now, what you also can make the case for, like we mentioned earlier in the video, is that you could put this at the 3 and run with 2 bigs and have like a 7-footer at the 4 and a 7'3" at the big man spot, and then have this build right here at the 3 with a 6'9". And then with that, you have extreme length, you have crazy height all over the court. And again, this build can play on-ball D. I really do want to vouch for that. And to come back to the individual attributes, again, things like the Hall of Fame Intimidator, gold clamps, it still has 90 steal rating for on-ball steals on top of that as well, has the versatility too. I think a lot of people undersell when it comes to height as far as what you need on defense. I know a lot of people like to pinpoint mismatch expert when they're talking about maybe not making a taller lock build. They think it's harder to contest those shots and stuff like that. Here's my personal opinion on that stuff. If you're too short, you don't get good contests at all. I sit here and look at 5'7", all the way up to like even 6'2" point guards not even get good contests, and they can't play any good on-ball defense. Obviously, yes, maybe the perfect lockdown height would be like a 6'4" to 6'5", where you're really fast, you have really good perimeter defense, you don't get mismatch experted that much, but even 6'5s get mismatch experted by 5'9" point guards. I mean, honestly, you can't live and die by thinking that mismatch expert is going to just screw you over as a lockdown build. I personally feel the most confident when it comes to ISO defense, me defending a point guard. It's not going to be my 6'6", it's not my 6'7", it's not even my 6'9", it's my 7-footer. So don't even sit here and talk to me about mismatch expert. I don't believe in that. for a little bit at all. I definitely think Hall of Fame Intimidator, while still having good perimeter defense and being in the right spot and contesting that point guard and staying in front of him, is definitely the most elite thing. And again, to come back and talk about versatility when it comes to all of this is what the whole point of me even talking about this tangent was, where versatility on D of, we're talking 3v3 mostly when it comes to this, but we'll maybe even make the case for this being the on-ball lockdown and pro-am. But let's just slow things down a little bit. Let's just talk about 3v3 alone. So if you come in here with this build at the 2, and let's just say you want to decide to have anything between 6'9" or 7 foot at the 3 spot, you have 2 builds that'll be super versatile. You both feel confident in guarding the point guards all the way up to the big men. And with that, you have elite ability to switch everything. And with the elite ability to switch everything, you as a big man on the backside have elite confidence in your on-ball lockdown defender, if it's this build right here, to switch onto those bigs, so you can leave the big man and blitz off the pick and roll, where if the guard is running into you and away from your on-ball lockdown defender, you can go for that crazy blitz steal like I'm probably showing on the video right here. We're going to insert the clip of all the bump steals and stuff like that, but you can do that as the backside defender if you're confident in your 6'9" on-ball defender to switch onto your bigs. Same goes for either which way that you guys are playing. It all works out. I definitely believe that elite versatility and confidence in switching like that is so crazy on D to work with. And there's nothing more annoying than being on the backside as a hedge defender where you're working with like a 6'5" or below point guard that clearly cannot switch onto the bigs or anything like that. So you're almost essentially guarding 2 people at once, to be honest. You have to hedge for your on-ball defender as well as still get back to the big man wherever he goes. Maybe you even have to help with the pick and pop and stuff like that too. And that becomes a problem. That becomes a pain. And at the end of the day, I feel like as a 7-footer, I would prefer to just switch on to the guard and play sides, straight like that. So again, we've made a lot of discussion as far as defense goes. What we haven't even talked about yet is really to talk about the Hall of Fame Interceptor and the 90 steal rating. This does feel nerfed quite a bit. I feel like there's a balance between it now. We made a video literally just yesterday talking about the bronze Interceptor and how I'm going crazy with literally bronze and 75 steal rating. Way better than I'm even doing with the Hall of Fame and 90. Now, maybe that's just kind of that I'm playing better now than I was on the 90 steal rating and Hall of Fame Interceptor when the patch had first hit and I'm learning how to play the game a little bit more. But at the end of the day, 90 steal rating and Hall of Fame Interceptor doesn't feel special anymore. It doesn't feel like you're an elite defender out there. You don't feel as lurky when it comes to that stuff. And it definitely has been patched. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean your build has been patched. It just means you have to adjust your playstyle. Maybe your playstyle has been patched. Again, these 2 builds right here, if you come out here with this at the 2 and the 3 spot for 3v3, can be so elite in a different way than you would even think in terms of how you maybe have been already using it. You don't need to just spam Hall of Fame Interceptor. You have 2 builds that are so elite when it comes to guarding anybody on the court. Doesn't matter what their build is. You can still hang with them as long as you have the skill for it. Whether you have the on-ball D to stick smaller point guards, or if you have the mashing defense to be able to time the jumps well on the taller bigs and anything like that. Again, you even still have things like Hall of Fame Pogo Stick, Gold Rim Protector, Hall of Fame Intimidator, Hall of Fame Chase Down Artist as well for even ISO defense, still things like gold ankle braces and gold clamps. I mean, every single defensive badge in the game is on at least gold or Hall of Fame with this, besides brick wall and post lockdown, but obviously these don't matter that much. And then we can even still talk about the offensive versatility of this build as well. Anywhere from playmaking to shooting to finishing, the list goes on and on. It really is an elite build all the way around from offensive and defensive versatility point of view. So with the 75 ball handle, you still get things like the LeBron James size up escape package. You can get crazy hopbacks, and for you to be able to move the way that you do on this 6'9" build, it really is crazy. You still have silver quick first step, silver unpluckable. Obviously the playmaking badges aren't that great when it comes to the passing aspect of things. If you wanted to maybe drop a couple different attributes, whether that be driving layup or driving dunk, or maybe a couple different things on defense to be able to get this 85 pass accuracy and gold bullet passer, that's up to you. But I honestly don't think it's really worth or really necessary when it comes to this build. You still have things like Hall of Fame glue hands too, if you're a pick and roller or a pick and popper that likes to use this and be able to get your good catches for your shots and stuff like that. And again, to talk about shooting, I mean, the list goes on. You get the perfect 3-point rating to be able to get the silver catch and shoot. You have silver corner specialist, silver hot zone hunter, Hall of Fame sniper. It's definitely still very good when it comes to shooting, and 22 shooting badges is plenty fine. If you also wanted to maybe get a little bit more pass accuracy, what you could do is drop your mid-range down lower and just rock out with 77 3-pointer. If you don't think you need Hall of Fame sniper, that's the only reason I really would advocate for having the 80 mid-range. And if you did drop that to the point where you don't even need it, you could be able to do a couple different things when it comes to maybe having more of a reliable close shot, or again, to have the 85 pass accuracy. It's definitely still doable. I mean, you could definitely come out here with something like this. It's kind of just a quick makeshift adjustment that I made, but either way, you guys get what I'm saying. Now, the other problem that some people have with this build is the fact that you have to make it at the shooting guard position. This is the only way that the glitch metric works, at least how some people thought, but now it also works at the power forward position. So if you were originally skeptical of making this build and you didn't want to do it just because you maybe like to play rec, we'll just put it like that, or even pro-am in some situations, but mostly it's rec, where if you want to play like this, you would ideally be playing at the 3 or the 4, which in this situation, if you are a shooting guard, you're stuck at the 2 in some situations, or maybe at best case scenario, you're at the 3, but either way, I'm sure a lot of people who made this build, you guys experienced that problem where you end up being expected to sit at the hash or something like that on offense or run around the wing, and you don't have the spacing for that, and you're not really built for that role, and then you have really bad spacing amongst your team. Again, you can make this at the power forward position just to kind of showcase what this looks like to you guys. I'm not going to go over how to do it in the video because that's a whole crazy setup process and stuff like that. With this build right here, I didn't even make it with shooting, and this is honestly another thing to talk about with this build. I mean, honestly, I have this exact build. I've been making videos on it a little bit. I was planning to do a little bit more videos with it too because I wanted to run 3 of these in Team Pro-Am when the passing lanes were crazy, and we were just going to abandon a tall big in general. Now, I don't think that's worth doing at all anymore. I definitely don't think you should be running 3 of these guys, especially not to have one at the 5. I think you definitely still need height. It was kind of a makeshift idea as well. It's not like it was like 100% going to be comp or the best lineup by any means. It definitely wasn't going to be, but I thought it'd be really innovative and original and different, and I wanted to maybe use a build like this to be an undersized 5 and see what we could do with it. But again, the Hall of Fame Interceptor patch and not really looking so crazy with it, it doesn't seem quite as worth it anymore. But again, I more so just wanted to showcase this to you guys that you actually could make this at the power forward position if you would like to. I made one video on it. I might even just link it in the comments or something like that, but you could probably just search it up. Just search up 6'9" power forward metric build. There's a whole different setup process for it and stuff like that. My boy Tonic even made a video on it too, so if you can't find mine, you'll probably find his. And I mean, with the 6'9" metric, there's still even multiple things you can do with it, even at the shooting guard position. You could up the weight all the way and still get 99 rebound rating while still having that Hall of Fame Interceptor and Hall of Fame Intimidator too. Now, I don't think this is quite as worth doing anymore if you ask me. I think you definitely want to come out here with elite on-ball defensive ability. I don't think this build is meant to be played at the big man spot so much, and if it is going to, I don't think you really want to come out here looking so chunky and so slow in terms of the speed, not having elite perimeter defense. Honestly, I think having 90 perimeter D is crazy too. So again, a little thought and idea, if you guys want to come out here with a build like this, is to run 2 of these at the 2 and the 3 on 3v3. Again, we already talked about both of these different things in the video in terms of the offensive aspect and the defensive aspect. And again, with this build, I want to really stress this point right here because I think not a lot of people really kind of take this into consideration or anything like that. I understand too, there are people who play with randoms on 3v3, and this isn't exactly the easiest thing to set up for you, let alone to even run into people who have this build in the first place if you're a point guard. But if you are a PG and you play with a squad and you do have 2 of these guys at the 2 and the 3, again, you can come out here and set screens with whichever one of them that you want to. I mean, you don't have to have one guy who's a designated pick and roller and pick and popper. You can have both of them come out here and have that role and target whichever is the weakest defender on the court and just pull them out the corner and say, hey, you, come set a screen for me. You got a weak defender on you. Once you set the screen, get out the way. And then boom, you can literally ISO the weakest matchup possible if people are playing switch everything defense. If they're not playing switch everything, you can easily pick them apart on pick and pops with your drive as a guard, and then boom, just like that, you got your teammate wide open at the top of the key because of miscommunication and lack of chemistry or understanding what the defense wants to do when you put them in bad situations without their 2 most ideal defenders. You take situations like that and force their smaller point guard into guarding you or something like that, or forcing their smaller point guard into ending up on the big man with it, and they don't want to do stuff like that. So anyway, the last topic I want to talk about with this build right here is the ISO ability, because I know some people maybe like to run these on the 2v2 or anything like that, and to be able to run both of them, like at the 1 spot and the 2 spot. And you can do the exact same thing I'm talking about for defense, where you switch everything. You can go kind of blitz heavy and stuff like that as well, but offense becomes a little bit more of a struggle, obviously. Now with this, I do want to say, if you make this in a different way, I think you could both have post control and you could both have close shot, and you maybe could take a couple different things off of this build, like the mid-range for instance. And with that, I think this could get kind of nasty, bro. You could both come out here and just baby the point guard. If you guys understand how crazy and OP mashing is in this game against people who don't have interior defense, the small guards are lost on that court. And the one problem with it when you come in here with a 6'9" point guard is that your ball handle isn't good enough to dribble on small point guards. Maybe you can avoid doing situations where you do get plucked, but I'm gonna be real with you. If you're sitting there with 75 ball handle and silver unpluckable, sitting there and dribbling in a point guard's face who has 97 steal rating or 90 plus, you're gonna get the ball poked. Now, if you go into the post with it and don't let him do stuff like that, don't even do drop steps. I'm talking literally just back the dude down into the paint and go up with a close shot. He cannot contest it, bro. They don't have anything on block or interior defense at all. They don't have pogo. They don't have rim protector. They don't have intimidator. They're small on top of that too. So this goes on and on, honestly. I mean, I really do think you can come out here with both these builds at the 1 and the 2 spot and go crazy on ISO with it. And again, the only thing that's changed on defense is Interceptor isn't quite as good, but the versatility is still there. It really is crazy. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. This is me kind of just giving my thoughts on the 6'9" glitch metric, and I think it's still a very elite build. Super good on the defensive end, so versatile when everything comes down to it, and so versatile on the offensive end too. Again, the only thing that's been nerfed is Interceptor, and I really do feel like on-ball defense has been absolutely buffed. I think it really is crazy how much better it looks, and I got to give 2K a lot of credit for that, man. I still have a couple more things with gameplay to test out with that when it comes down to it. But again, man, I've been pretty satisfied with everything as far as this patch goes, and it kind of grew on me. I wasn't exactly knowing how I felt about the Interceptor patch in the first place, but I think the gameplay is in a very good state right now. So anyway, that is all for the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all that good stuff. And if you made it to the end of the video, put 6'9" in the comments to show support you made all the way through. The one last thing I want to talk about very quickly that we didn't really address too much is the driving ability of this build. 80 driving layup is plenty good enough, to be honest with you. 92 driving dunk is plenty fine as well. If you want to go for more close shot, I do encourage to have more than 50 if you want to be able to mash people down low. And same with the post control. I definitely do encourage having more of this as well. With this build though, I don't want to really encourage you guys to go for standing dunk. If you want to go for 45 to get the animations like I showed in a video like a couple weeks ago, I do think that's a pretty solid idea, but I don't think you should really go for 80 plus or anything like that unless you're making a true inside build. But anyway, I do think this finishing ability is definitely good enough to dominate smaller guards 100%. But the dunking does take some skill, to be honest with you. What doesn't take skill though is the mashing, the close shot. If you have a good close shot, it really is crazy, bro. You will dominate these smaller point guards out there. They can't do a single thing about that. What they can do when you're going for the driving dunks to the right stick is hope that you just mistime it. And it does require skill, obviously. Whereas, again, close shot doesn't require anything. You literally just sit down below the hoop and hold your X button, and small people can't contest it. They can't do anything about it. So anyway, like I said, that's all for the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. Like I said as well, if you made it to the end of the vid and you want to show us your support, put 6'9" in the comments. Other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed. Take it easy, man. Peace.